Call to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Belsley.
Here.
Dobb.
Here.
Hare. Here. Herman.
Here.
Kaufman.
Here.
Newhouse.
Yes, here.
You have a quorum.
Pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no public hearings tonight. We're going to do a special presentation, but the girls' basketball team is going to be a little late getting here, so I'm going to move this to a different place on the agenda and move right to public comments. Does anyone have any public comments they'd like to make? Does anyone have anything that they would like to remove from the consent agenda? We have tonight minutes and bills. There being none, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Approved, Your Honor. Second.
Second by Belsley. Any questions or discussion? Call it, please.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Hare. Yes. Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Village president has nothing tonight. How about the village clerk?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Village administrator.
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I'd like to ask for approval to transfer $6,000 from the general fund and $6,000 from the water depreciation fund to the capital projects fund.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Ginger. Any questions or discussion? Call it, please.
Dobb.
Yes.
Hare. Yes. Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
That's it, Your Honor.
Chief of Police.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Corporate Counsel.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Director of Fire and Emergency Services.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Director of Public Works.
Several items tonight, Your Honor. First item, your Public Works recap for the month of February is in your packet. Item B in front of you is resolution number 25-14. This is a resolution authorizing amendments to contracts with Panhandle Eastern Pipeline Company. There's two of the three contracts here. We have three total contracts. The first one is extending the small customer transportation agreement with Panhandle Eastern Pipeline Company for a 2-year period from 4/1/18 through 3/31/20. I previously had done the in and out storage one. I did one 5-year, the other 3 working with Panhandle. We want all 3 contracts to go through 2020. The second item is extending the gas delivery service agreement with Panhandle Eastern Pipeline Company for a 5-year period from 4/1/15 through 3/31/20. And these agreements all relate to the transportation agreement with Panhandle, which is the main pipeline that delivers gas to the Village of Morton.
Could I have a motion to get it on the table?
So moved.
Second.
Just get that. Ginger and Jeff. And any questions on these two items? Call it, please.
Hare. Yes. Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Third item in front of you is ordinance number 14-37. It's an ordinance vacating a portion of public property. This is in reference to the alley in Campbell's third edition. This relates to the agreement we had previous, the original, or not the original, but the previous agreement where we swapped property with Mr. Parrott, equal property. This piece was included in that. This is really just a housekeeping item. It's my mistake. Anytime that you're going to trade or sell property that's a public street or a public alley, needs to be vacated first. So this was caught up at the title company, and this is just a formality here that we need to take care of. So I'd like to ask for approval.
Second by Sam. Any questions? Call it.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
The next item, the next 4 items is to request permission. First one, request permission to, ask for permission to request bids for the Greenwood Street reconstruction project. This is from the Flume to South 4th Avenue. These will also be discussed at our financial committee. Do you want me to go through each one individually?
Let's do D, E, and F together.
Okay, perfect. Next one is permission to request bids for the Crestwood Street reconstruction project. This is from South Illinois Avenue to South Missouri Avenue. And permission to request bids for the Fernwood Street reconstruction project, which is from South 4th Avenue to Sunset Road. These three projects, I haven't decided yet, but we're working through it. They may be all bid as one project, too. Just kind of looking at where we can save some money doing it separately or together.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second by Sam.
Whether these include the sidewalks?
These are sidewalk and curb jobs, complete reconstruction. With it, though, we're doing things a little bit different. The street is not in bad shape on these streets, so there'll probably just be a 3-foot patch along the edge, and we'll reevaluate it next year for the street portion. So a little bit different. Got some areas of curb and sidewalk that we really need to replace. So these three projects are all similar in nature with curb and sidewalk.
If we were to bid these together, it's assuming the schedule would be such that we still want these done by the Pumpkin Festival?
These will be done before school's back in session.
Okay.
And the only reason I say put them together is the three projects are all in similar location.
Yeah.
So it might work out to our benefit to bid them all as one.
Any other questions? Call it, please.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Next item is permission to request bids for 2015 water distribution materials. The big projects with this are Detroit Avenue, and there's another project on Hyde Park Drive. That's the big chunk of it, but this is what we do annually to purchase water main materials.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Sam here. Questions? Call it, please.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
The last item in front of you is resolution number 23-14. It's a resolution authorizing agreement with Tazewell County, and this relates to a flyover that Tazewell County intends to do, and this is a shared cost for us to be able to upgrade the aerial or background information in our GIS. This is well worth the money if we can do that.
Motion,
moved.
please. Second?
Yes. Second.
Yes.
How often do they do those flyovers?
Mr. Harris.
We did a flyover here, which was, I think it was well over $200,000 about the time I started. So anytime the county or somebody else wants to do it, we always want to tap onto that. So basically, on our maps that everybody uses, right now they're already 4 years old. So this would update everything, and this would be done here real soon. So anytime we can, we will, but it's a significant cost to do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Would you call it, please?
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Hare. Yes. Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Planning and zoning.
One item tonight, Your Honor, it's a resolution that you have before you with Verizon for scheduled routine type maintenance plus some upgrades to the antennas that are on top of our water tower right here on Detroit Street. Tom Davies has looked this over, the agreement, and everything's good in his eyes.
So moved.
Second by Newhouse. Any questions? Would you call it, please?
Dobb.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Newhouse.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
That's all I
Anything
have
else?
tonight, Your Honor.
Village trustees, trustee Belsley,
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
trustee Dobb,
Nothing this evening.
trustee Hare,
Nothing tonight.
trustee Herman,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
trustee Kaufman.
Just one item, the annual yard waste, spring yard waste. We have scheduled for Saturday, April 11th through Sunday, April 26th. It'll be at the same location on South 4th at the treatment plant. And it'll be in the same area, and we ask that there's no bags left outside the gates once it closes. So help us police that, so. And it'd be from 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 at night.
Is there a limit this year on the size of material as there has been the past 3 inches, 4
Same,
inches?
same 8 items.
4 inches, okay.
Yep, 4-inch branches, 5 foot in length, and that'll be on the TV. So
Thank you.
that's all, Your
Trustee
Honor.
Newhouse.
Your Honor, we have, in the wake of the approval of the mixed-use zoning ordinance, some substantial interest in investment and development downtown. Combination residential and commercial as provided for in the approved ordinance. In conjunction with that, as you might guess, a couple of things have been identified that we had not covered before. Mr. Spangler has worked on this in some detail. Involves setbacks. There was a sightline issue. I think that's maybe been resolved. But there are 2 or 3 items that need to be looked at. And based on last discussion with Village Council, I believe that it would be appropriate for it to go back to the Plan Commission. As much as I'd like to get this done during my term of service, it's more important that we do it right and do it fast in this case. And so I'm asking for concurrence to direct this back to the Plan Commission for April consideration. Is that a reasonable summary, Mr. Spangler? Okay. Yeah.
Do we have to have a regular vote or we voice vote?
I think we can do a voice vote.
I think we just need
just
confirmation
concurrence,
that everyone
yeah.
is in accord.
So it will go back for these 3 or 4 items, and we'll come back for vote. My guess is it'll be first meeting in May. So the new board will have to approve it or debate it.
Is everyone okay with this approach? I see heads nodding. Show the record should show heads nodded up and down.
Second.
Second.
There it is. Thank you.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
We have no closed session, but we are going to adjourn in a minute to Finance Committee. We're going to highlight some of the major programs that we have planned, and this will be an open meeting, so anyone can stay who would like to. And when the basketball team comes, we'll take a break and recognize the basketball team. Could I have a motion to adjourn to the Finance Committee?
Second.
Seconded by Newhouse. I'd ask each department head to, I guess we have to vote on that, don't we?
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd ask each of the department heads to prepare to highlight some of the more significant projects. We have some really interesting work that's going on this year. And so I'd like to start with the Chief of Police.
Thank you, Your Honor. As we look at our budget, there's not a lot there in operational. 85% of our $3.4 million budget is salary-based, and that's all governed through a bargaining unit agreement. But the higher-end purchases, which we've got budgeted at $81,000 for the purchase of 3 squad cars. Again, our typical operation on that is we get the bids out in the end of the year, the end of the calendar year, and we come forward to the board in early January with our recommendations and get the vehicles in April, just before the end of the fiscal year. In addition to that, we are looking to get 3 new laptops for our squad cars. The ones that we've got in there, they become old and obsolete, so we're looking to get those, and then also get 2 additional video cameras for our squad cars. I think we've all heard and seen some of the stuff that's going on in some of our other communities, Ferguson to be example, with some of the video cameras that they're talking about. This would be able to complete our 9 squad cars that we've got on the street, with all of them having a video cameras in there. So that's something that we're looking at for this year. Additionally, we started a couple years ago with our K-9 unit and funding that. we actually put our K-9 unit on the street in May. He graduated May 1st, and so this fiscal year has been the first that we've been able to do that. Through the course of that, he's done 98 different vehicle searches. He's obtained just over 191 grams of cannabis. One particular seizure was just over 78 grams. That was last May, and that particular cannabis was en route to summer camp over in Chillicothe. But it's been a great asset to our department utilizing that. We've had 113 different searches with that, controlled searches, as well as 2 different tracking incidents and 8 utilizations with the patrol on that. So overall, I think we're pretty pleased with where we're at. With that, we've done 11 hours of demonstrations, as well as over 450 hours of training with other agencies and continued training with the K-9 unit. They're required through the Training Standards Board to have a recertification annually, and we're slated to do that in May. That's where we're at.
As everyone may or may not know, Trustee Belsley is the liaison from the board to the police department. I will ask Trustee Belsley if he has any comments or items he'd like to discuss.
As Chief Hilliard mentioned, the biggest line item, to no surprise, is wages and benefits like that. And those are governed, of course, through the bargaining unit agreement that's in place with the officers and the dispatchers. But even that said, with approximately a $3.4 million budget for the department, if you were to take that out, the actually overall expenditures went down from last year's budget for the police department. That's to the credit of Chief Hilliard and his department being very frugal and managing the expenses and the department overall. But I will add also, it's not bare bones in terms of dismissing anything without regard to the safety and security of the citizens. This past year, we put significant improvements into rebuilding the target range facility and still have some funds in there in this budget to finish those improvements that will really be a nice asset for many years to come, hopefully. And I think, again, I guess just in summary, he highlighted some of those points, but I'd want to pass along the kudos to him that he's probably not going to take credit for of just a good job managing the budget and the department overall for the year.
Perfect. Okay. Does anyone have any questions of the police department? There being none, I'd like to move on to fire and emergency services. Chief Kelly.
Thank you. We've also tried to stay relatively flat in our budget. So operationally wise, there's not anything that's largely significant. Capital wise, there are a couple of items. Taking the fire department budget first, the most significant thing that you'll see on there is the $225,000 being requested for. Did I say $225,000? Yeah. For the replacement of what we use as what would be called a tanker or a tender truck. Its primary function is to haul large amounts of water to areas that are, for the most part, outside of the village and don't have access to fire hydrants. As I said, that's a 1981 Mack. So it makes it older than many of the people that are driving it these days. So we've gotten a good amount of use out of it. And then the other item is, well, actually there's 2 in that line of $26,500. These are continuing projects that we have done over the last few years, and we build upon each year. The first part of that is the air packs that the bottles for the air packs that the guys wear on their back going into a fire are made of a material that has an expiration life to it under the law. So rather than we originally purchased all those at the same time under a grant a number of years ago. And as we've gotten into it, we've tried to replace 10 of those a year so that we get a little off, on that schedule and don't have to replace them all at the same time. So that would include 10 of those bottles. The other item in there is for the emergency vehicle preemption devices that go on the traffic lights. And each year, Craig and I work on that project to try to add one or two of these into our system each year. And this year, we're looking at the intersections of Detroit and Jefferson and Detroit and Jackson, because those are the intersections that will be improved. So it makes perfect sense to do that while we're working on that as well. So those are the two major capital items in the fire department budget. And
Trustee Dobb works with the fire department. Trustee Dobb, do you have any comments or observations?
Other than the item that you mentioned on the tanker truck, this is something that was scheduled to be replaced 2 years ago, and we've been putting it off, and I think, now's the time to have it in there, because it's lasted 2 years longer than we hoped for.
it might be noteworthy also in that vehicle, the vehicle that we have now is a full engine as well as a tanker, meaning that it carries hose, it has a 1,500 gallon a minute fire pump, as well as all the water. Our plan is to downscale that with the new vehicle that will primarily haul the water. It won't be a fire truck in the sense of going out and being a first line vehicle that pumps water. We have other vehicles that do that. So it'll be a more of a commercial chassis with a big water tank on it. That saves a significant amount of money not putting all those other parts and pieces into it.
Any questions of Mr. Kelly or Trustee Dodd? There being none, let's move on to Mr. Laudermilk.
I also have the paramedic budget.
Oh, I'm
I'd
sorry.
like to hit
I
on
thought
one
you were
item real
done.
quickly. I'm lucky enough to have two budgets. Again, a flat, relatively flat budget operationally, with most of the increases being in salaries, as you would expect. Otherwise, in fact, a couple of them we were able to reduce down for instance, gasoline prices, diesel prices coming down a little bit, saves us some money in the budgeting part. The one item that I'd like to point out on the capital side that you'll be happy to know is that's actually a mistake. That I can save you $100,000 here, that should have been $12,000. It's represented as $120,000. So
We'll take that.
and that $12,000 I brought that to Julie's attention today. That $12,000 will go to replace the hardware associated with the reporting software that we use for all of our emergency medical calls. Right now, we have a server, a hardware server that sits inside our building that does all of that computer work. Our IT company has never been a fan of that piece of equipment, and it probably has a life cycle that's about at its end. What our intention is to move this to a new option that the company and that company's Firehouse Software has, which is more of a cloud-based. So we won't any longer have to maintain our own hardware. But of course, there is an annual fee related to them maintaining that hardware. And then simply it's an internet connection that we use to do all of our reporting. Otherwise, functionally, it would do the same thing. It's a hardware change primarily.
I think at 120, you would have got a lot of questions tonight. But at 12,000, everyone's just sighing with relief. Any questions about paramedic? Do you have anything else?
That's it, sir. Thank you.
Great. Craig?
All right, thank you, Your Honor. I'll try to get through this as quick as I can so I don't bore you guys. I oversee 7 departments and budgets, so I'll just briefly go through each one of those and just highlight, as you requested, Mr. Mayor, on some of the major expenditures or some of the new things that we're doing. The first budget, which is on page 47, is the Public Works Department. This budget is $326,000, a little up, about 1% up from last year. And it mainly accounts for the salaries, mainly the mechanic, GIS IT manager, myself, and an administrative assistant. That's the bulk of that budget. One of the expenditures out of here is we're looking to replace our old 10-plus-year-old plotter that's downstairs at Village Hall with a new one that's more multi-function that can print, scan. It's a $10,000 item that will be shared across 6 departments. But that's much needed with some of the things we're doing in the office. The next budget is the street department, which is on page 63. The budget this year is a little over $3.5 million, and it accounts for about 32% of the general fund expenditures that are budgeted. This does include about $1.8 million for capital projects. I did want to highlight that this is a little different from previous years, as we used to budget this work in the capital projects funds. It was recommended, well, prior to Julie was here, but recommended by Wendy and the auditors to budget directly out of the specific department fund. So that's the increase that you see there. So with that, you will see a lot less interfund transfers at this meeting, which will be a good thing. As far as some of the highlighted items out of the street department, we are requesting to purchase, replace the backhoe. We have another backhoe. One of our 4 backhoes is coming up on its 5-year through a guaranteed buyback with Al Torfer, and the budget for that's about $55,000. Our backhoes cost us about $11,000 a year, which is an excellent deal for us. So every 5 years we get a brand new one for about $11,000 a year. We also would like to purchase a new skid steer, and we've got budgeted $60,000. This would be for the skid steer, and we'd also like to get a breaker attachment for that. And this would most likely be bid, but we're looking at a guaranteed 3-year buyback option on that. With that, we do rent a skid steer, well over a couple months a year. This price is the equivalent of renting 2 months out of the year. So it will be a versatile piece of equipment for us. We can use it for many applications. In particular, we intend to use it a lot in the street department. We're doing a lot more in-house. If you noticed on First Street this year, we have been doing pavement. We have been doing curb. We've got a really talented staff, and we're trying to do some things, more things in-house. We also intend to use it more on some of the creek maintenance. We can rent a mower attachment, some of the areas that are difficult to get to. So this will be a nice piece of equipment for us going forward. And then lastly, in the street department, we are requesting to begin work with a consultant to prepare a new sidewalk inventory and rating system. And this would be through the GIS, and it's for $12,500. A lot of other communities are going this route. One of the biggest things with sidewalk is we got to stay on top of the new ADA requirements, and this will help us with our transitional plan on ADA, which is mandatory through the state, and then it will also help us stay on top of some of the sidewalks in town on an annual or regular basis. Next item, which I hear some commotion outside.
Yeah, I wonder if I could have a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee and go back to regular meeting. Susan, would you mind corralling them and getting them in here? Ladies, thank you so much for coming, and gentlemen. The board wants to act on Resolution 2214, and I won't bore you by reading the entire several pages, but some of it's very interesting. Whereas the Morton Lady Potters recently concluded their season by winning the IHSA Class 3A basketball tournament in the state of Illinois, and whereas the Lady Potters have exhibited a great degree of dedication and commitment to excellence to achieve this outstanding result, they have accomplished the following: winner of the Morton Thanksgiving Tournament, the Mid-Illinois Conference Championships, the 5th consecutive Galesburg Winter Classic champions, winner of the IHSA Morton Regional, winner of the IHSA LaSalle Peru Sectional, winner of the IHSA Romeoville Super Sectional, and my personal favorite, IHSA Class 3A State Championship. The President and the Board of Trustees desire to recognize, on behalf of all the citizens of Morton, their appreciation and respect for your accomplishment. Could I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Second.
Second by Ginger. Could I have a vote?
Is Joe going to call?
She's got to call.
Newhouse.
Yes,
Helsley.
absolutely.
Yes.
Dobbs.
Yes.
Hare. Yes. Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Rainson.
Yeah,
We'll make it a super vote.
it's super vote. Thank you so much. We're so proud of you. A certified copy of this resolution is going to be provided to each of you, so you can put it in your scrapbook. They're right here.
Does anyone want to make a comment? Yeah. Ron, see if anyone want to make a comment. Coach or
The coach.
He's going to hand them out individually now and read each of the ladies' names off.
Speech, Coach.
I mean, I just appreciate, it's been a great postseason run, great season with these kids. They're all high character. They're great students. I'm extremely biased, but these are the leaders of our high school, in the classroom, on the court, around town. But we appreciate everything that you've done, Mr. Hilliard, lining up the police escorts and the fire truck and whatnot. I mean, we appreciate all the recognition, but this is a very deserving group of kids and coaches, certainly, but we appreciate you allowing us to interrupt your meeting to be recognized too. But I will, if you want me just to introduce every player, let's go. We've got sophomore. The neat thing about this group is we've got 2 seniors, 3 juniors, 4 sophomores, and 5 freshmen, which could be combustible in a lot of places, but they've chosen to be great teammates. Part of our theme is, they know they've got control of their attitude, their effort, and the ability to be a great teammate all the time, and they were the epitome of that. I mean, we're not big in stature. I mean, they're wearing heels tonight a little bit, but, I've told people before that we're not the biggest team I've ever had. We're not the most athletic team, but they've got a lot of guts and a lot of heart, and they really, really played great team basketball, and they've got the competitive fire that they needed to win a state championship. But I'm really, really proud of every one of these kids. We'll start with sophomore Alexis Opal. I don't know how you want to do this. And freshman Crystal Cobbler. Alexis wore number 2. Crystal was 24. I'll see if I can test my memory on what number. My daughter's freshman Josie Becker. Number 3. Number 4, Chandler Ryan, Jr. And if you need a fundraiser for the village, she would put her free throw shooting prowess to use. She made, in our 7 postseason games, probably you've read about it or whatever, but maybe some of you haven't. In our 7 postseason games, she was 53 out of 54 from the free throw line. Wow. And most of those don't even hit rim. I mean, you watch these guys in the NCAA tournament, they're not coming close to that. At state tournament, in our 2 games at Redbird, she was 23 out of 23. I think she was 31 out of 31 in the 4th quarter. But that's makes me look pretty good when they're knocking down free throws like that. Next, Taylor is Kayla McCormick, Jr., number 15. And number 23, sophomore Lisa Walter. Number 40, J.C. Warham, sophomore. one of our 2 seniors, number 1, Kathleen Saunders. Another freshman, Cassidy Sherman, number 10. Our second senior, captain, one of our captains. I should have mentioned that Chandler's one of our captains. We had 4 great captains. Senior Emma Heisler, 20. Freshman number 33, Kaylee Jones. Freshman number 11, Jenna Little. Junior captain number 30, Jadison Warham. And sophomore captain number 13, Brandy Bisping. And our awesome coaching staff, Brooke Bisping. And Megan Hassler. Rodney Newpol. And Bill Davis.
And those are the managers.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have 2 managers that we will make sure we forward these to. Josie Weller was a manager, and Kara Short was also our managers. But we appreciate it. This was an awesome season, awesome group of kids. I mean, with only 2 seniors, they've got a chance to maybe be back here next year, but it'll take a lot of hard work. Half this team doesn't even have their driver's license, so we've got parents escorting them over here and whatnot, but it's been pretty awesome.
I have 3 daughters and 5 granddaughters, and at no time did I say, "Here, sweetie."
They might act sweet sometimes, but on the court, not very. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Anybody else? I don't know.
Hey, Bob, what was said in the third quarter before the press was put on? The game changed.
You know what? It was a chance to just regroup, and we had to do something. We're either going to get beat or we have to. And, a lot of times, what's that?
Group hug.
Group hug. That was right before the fourth quarter, if I remember. Yeah. Really, we just put them in the press, and a lot of times during the season, we weren't real good at that kind of our zone, our diamond and 1 press, but you have these media timeouts and whatnot and everything else in the state tournament. They had a chance to organize themselves and had a couple of great steals, and a 4-point swing right there was all the momentum they needed to kind of smell a little blood in the water, and a little bit of a difference maker there. Group hug, yeah, they taught me about the group hug. That was going into the fourth quarter.
Would any of the captains like to speak or say a few words? No. Would anybody else like to make a few comments?
I mean, one thing we talk about is a humble swagger. So I think that this group is, they're confident, but they've got that humble swagger about themselves. So they're probably, not too willing to, but they are a chatty group. This group, we could pick them out by their laughs, and it's pretty neat, pretty satisfying. So.
Well, once again, the Village of Morton is very proud of you ladies. Thank you very much for giving us this victory.
Thank you for being a big part of it. Our community sport's been unbelievable, really. And I don't know, I know we recognized our MPTV crew. How many people have watched them on TV as well? I mean, probably a few of you, both at the Potter Dome and on TV, and it's been an incredible experience for sure. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to go into Finance Committee? So moved, seconded by Mr. Newhouse.
Aye.
All in favor? You were saying.
Yes, it's hard to follow that. Just to add, I was at the state championship, so that was a very impressive game. So, back to the good stuff here. Next up is the gas distribution department, which is on page 72. This budget this year's a little down, and it accounts for about $8.2 million, and it's funded by the gas fund. Approximately $5.6 million of that number is included for anticipated natural gas purchases. To highlight a couple of the major expenditures, we are requesting to replace the 2000 Sterling tandem truck. We have a budgeted amount of $180,000. This is one of our frontline plow trucks also. With some hard work out of some of the superintendents and the mechanic, we've been doing a lot of research on wing plows, and we would like to add a wing plow to this truck to hopefully improve some efficiencies when we snow plow too. I would also like to add that Scott Stidman continues to make significant improvements in technology. Every year he's pushing the envelope. This year we'd like to add a couple more pressure recorders, important tool as it relates to safety, and it's kind of like if you're familiar with SCADA systems, we now have Scott's got these pressure recorders to where we get alarms if there's a pressure drop, an accident, something, and it goes right to his phone, the on-call phones, so we know we have a problem. And also a new pipeline locator. Another exciting thing to kind of tie in with what Joe was talking about, cloud-based storage is a big thing, and we are working with a consultant right now. We haven't spent any money, but we're working with a consultant and the Illinois Commerce Commission, one of their representatives, to develop a new electronic data collection program. So this is kind of an exciting thing to hopefully improve efficiencies. I think sometimes they look to us to be on the forefront of that, to maybe sell this to other, local gas distribution owners throughout the state. So I think we're ready to jump into this. A little scary, but I think this is the future. We also continue to have an active meter replacement program and main replacement program. A couple of the major projects this year are Detroit Avenue, and then we intend to replace the gas on 7th Avenue, in preparation for future street improvements. The next budget is the wastewater treatment department, which is on page 82. Try to speed through this. This budget is about $4.7 million. It is funded by the water fund. We do have about $2.4 million budgeted in distribution and collection projects. This is a significant expenditure, and I'd like to just walk through quickly those items. $155,000 of that is to replace the sewer on Woodlawn subdivision project as a part of that complete road reconstruction or street reconstruction. $300,000 is budgeted to construct the long-term flow control structure on Main Street. This is a part of our long-term combined sewer separation project, which is under the oversight and approval of the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. $460,000, these are all budgeted numbers, is in there to construct the dry weather flow disinfection structure at plant number 2. This is the main outfall. This too has to be constructed per the EPA. And then lastly, as a part of the $2.4 million, we have $1.45 million at the same plant to construct an excess flow disinfection structure. And this will be constructed just north of the storm lagoon at plant 2. And once again, this is part of EPA requirements. And I would like to point out that Superintendent Roker is in the crowd there if you have any questions. These are tough projects because they're mandatory by the EPA. The $1.4 million one may not get used a whole bunch, but these are requirements to basically disinfect the outfall as it goes into the stream. I don't know if you'd like to add anything to that, Phil.
You've done a wonderful job.
Thank you. So there will be a significant amount of work out at Plant 2, so I'd encourage you, all of you, public, anybody, if they see stuff going out there, give us a call. There will be a lot of action out there. And then lastly, we are looking to replace the 1999 Chevy truck for a budgeted amount of $35,000. The next budget, which is page 87, is the Water Distribution Department. Just a couple highlights here. It's about $1.9 million is the budget there, and this again is funded by the Water Fund. We are, again, this is the third year, I believe, we kind of just put it off. We're requesting to install a new bulk water dispensing station. This would be used by us, Public Works, Fire, and it will also be used by the public to give the opportunity to get water. That's one of our biggest complaints is can't get water from the village. So this would be a safe way to get it. We'd set up payment by credit card to be able to allow the public to get water. These would be more contractors, farmers, stuff like that. And we've got a budget amount of $100,000, and that would be, right now we're planning to construct it at our Public Works garage. The next item, we do have a big summer here with our water main replacement projects. We budgeted about $325,000. And the big projects are Detroit Avenue, a lot of work there, and then Hyde Park Drive, significant project there. We've had a lot of leaks, a lot of problems, and it's just time to fix that water main. Water treatment department's next. This is page 91. I do want to point out that Superintendent Burton is in the crowd. He's a newer superintendent, and I would like to highlight that we continue to make significant needed upgrades. The mayor's familiar with some of the things out there, and Bob's been a huge part of that. With that, we have a lot of work going on this year out there, too. The proposed budget's to about $2.4 million, and once again, this is funded by the Water Fund. Some of the larger projects, we are going to upgrade our meter reading program for about $11,000. We did budget last year, kind of just put that off, and it's time to upgrade that. Another significant upgrade for a budget amount of $18,000 is to add chlorine analyzers to all 3 plants. This will be so that we can monitor 24/7 the chlorine addition at the plants. With all the work we've been doing this year, that's a significant component. We are feeding more chlorine. I will say we do get some comments back, but people, do notice a little bit increase. That is normal. If anyone has any concerns with that, we'd be glad to come out and sample for you. But with that, we want to be able to monitor that 24/7. Also, in regards to our water age, we still have some concerns with water age. One of those that we've kind of honed in on is the elevated towers. We are concerned about age in the towers. So with that, we would like to install a new water tower mixing system. We also need to inspect one of those water towers this year too. If all goes well with that, we would intend on subsequent years to install mixing systems at all 3 towers. And basically that just mixes up the tower so that we're not having stagnant water sitting at the top. Unfortunately, a couple months ago, we had a failure at one of our filters at Plant 3. We're working through that process. That was going to be an emergency fix. It's now come up to where we'll be able to repair it in this fiscal. So we did recently add, it was a little over $100,000 to be able to fix that. So that's a significant failure out there that we need to fix. And then we'll also be working really hard this year to finalize the engineering to reconstruct the Plant 2 and Plant 3 reaction basins. They're in need of repair. Next and last is the Stormwater Department, page 95. The proposed budget here is about $1.7 million, and it's funded by the Stormwater Fund. One of the major projects here is related to the Detroit Avenue project. We are going to try to increase the capacity of the regional basin there in between Detroit Avenue and Fort Transfer. So that's a big project you'll be seeing this year. And then also with that budget, about $600,000 of that goes towards our capital improvements. So the Stormwater Fund does pay for some of that in regards to curb and gutter, manhole, storm sewer, all those things. And then real quick at the end, just like to highlight the capital projects. I explained the first 3 that I asked for permission earlier on Greenwood, Crestwood, and Fernwood. Also Woodlawn subdivision, this would be phase 5 of 6. That would be a complete reconstruction from the sanitary sewer up. We also have a project to replace curb and sidewalk on East Jefferson between Nebraska and Ohio. And then also on there is a Safe Routes to School grant. We do anticipate sidewalks starting here in the next month or so on our Safe Routes to School project that we submitted for a grant for about 5 years ago. So that is going to move forward, and we will see sidewalk in those areas. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Let me ask first if any of the trustees have a comment. I can't point out any one trustee because just about every trustee, much to your delight, helps you with your daily job.
I'll start. Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead, Trustee Newhouse.
I have no questions.
Just that on the Greenwood, Crestwood, and Fernwood projects, it really needs the curbs and sidewalks. And Craig's come up with a creative idea to replace those, put a patch in, so that those center lanes of those roads, we can still get another year or two, maybe, life out of them. And we need to do that, so we keep putting blacktop down and not chip seal. So the citizens need to understand we're getting all this concrete replaced, so we don't have new blacktop against old concrete. We're gonna patch it along the edges, and then when Craig decides the road needs to be, we'll mill all of it, including the patches, and be a new blacktop. And we need to be creative because we've gotten behind on the concrete. So if we do this procedure, it works well, then another year we'll come through and put all new blacktop down the entire road. Because if you go by Greenwood especially, that is some really bad concrete. So that's impressive. And then we definitely need the skid steer for the street department. They've been doing a lot of patching, and it doesn't work good with a backhoe with that rear end sticking out in the traffic. And the creeks, there's a safety concern of mowing them and doing a better job. So that skid steer is going to be like one of our backhoes. Once we get it, I doubt if we'll ever be without it. Instead of running around and renting them, we have the use for that. And then I've also inspected that tandem truck, and we definitely need to replace that frontline tandem truck and get the snow plows up to snuff. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Trustee Herman, do you have anything to add?
I'm most familiar with the gas department, and I would agree with Craig's comments about Scott Stidman. He's really doing a wonderful job of bringing things up with technologies, and it's making the department more efficient and safe, and it's just very impressive. I don't have any questions.
Trustee Hare.
Just to reiterate from last time, I know that we've got some pretty big numbers and expenditures with the wastewater, but you spend some time down there, and it's just amazing how capable and the creative ways that they were able to make this facility work, as it is today, to make it become more efficient, make things last for a long time. And now when they're ready, we can, as trustees, we can be assured that, yeah, it's actually time to start investing, into these projects to make sure that we're preparing for the next 25 or 30 years for our citizens. So, I'm confident that these are all the right things to do, and these are good investments for us. So I appreciate all the hard work that Phil does out there for us. So anytime you want to go out there, it sounds silly, but it's really exciting. There's a lot of science and there's a lot of neat stuff out there. So, so that part of it was good. Yep. So,
Trustee Dobb?
No, I really have no comment except that the departments I'm associated with, the heads know what they're doing, and they do a good job and try to keep the budget in line.
Trustee Belsley?
No particular comment.
I think that you make a good observation, Sam. The guys, they sit back there calmly like, oh, well, we're just here. They take care of our health and safety for the whole community. All our drinking water, all the waste treatment. Yeah, good idea. You guys do a terrific job. I think, I've only been mayor for a couple of years. I've been just really delighted and surprised at the wonderful staff that we've got.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate with the superintendents that we have. Unfortunately, these two gentlemen here aren't going to be with us forever, so that's my next big challenge in the next 3 to 5 years.
Burton told me he was going to live forever.
He's going to be here for a while. But, no, they're huge. Huge. The staff, Public Works staff, does an excellent job.
Well, all of our departments do.
Appreciate that.
Does anyone have anything else to add to the budget session? not, I'll entertain a motion to.
I would, sorry.
I'll hold that movement until Sam seconds it.
It's too late.
I just
Ginger
wanted
beat
to
Sam.
thank Julie again for the new complete packet, but for addressing the concern I mentioned at the last meeting about the FY 2015 numbers. I asked her if it would be a good idea, and she agreed to, for the FY 2015, to put the actual appropriation number. You'll see that FY 2014 and FY 2015 is the actual number that we appropriated, which may or may not have differed slightly from the budget that we approved. So it gives us a more accurate comparison from year to year. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
If there's nothing else,
Turn to open session.
we have to first vote on going out of this. We have to vote on leaving the finance committee.
Correct. We're adjourning to the open session.
Okay. Call it moves.
Second.
Okay.
We already had that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Leave the meeting.
Seconded by Mr. Hare.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting over.